Hey there, you're watching Go Island, where we're going for a walk, a historical walk. On today's show, we take in a tea party and look at the work of some local photographers.
Aaron Vissia Financial Go Island is brought to you by Aaron Vissia Financial.
Well, hello again. You are watching Go Island. We are on a historical walking tour. Now, this is a tour that is available in pamphlet form from the Alberni Valley Museum. You can also pick it up at the train station where the museum has a wonderful exhibit on. And you know what? This is a tour that I've known about for a while, but I've never gone on. So of course, I asked for some help from the museum, and I've got Jamie Morton here to talk about the starting point, because this is where the Southport tour begins, isn't it?
It is, and this is also the point of the start of the resettlement of the Alberni Valley. This is where Edward Stamp came in, set up his mill in 1860, became involved with the Sechut and Huipachesta people that were here already. Not always totally amicably, but basically started European settlement in the region. And the forest industry in the region. So we start down here at what is now Harbor Key.
Excellent. And there's a great little plaque here talking about the Anderson Mill in the pamphlet. Now, if you're taking this tour, you're not always going to have Jamie Morton or Shelley Harding here to tell you about it. But the pamphlet does give you great information, give you a guided tour of the Alberni Valley. And I think that's so important to the understanding of this community where we live.
It is. It's something we actually get a lot of requests for at the museum. People are very interested in seeing the built history of the region. And this does give people a pretty good thumbnail guide. It also gives you a nice outing, a walk around some attractive districts of Port Alberni. So it's a good way to learn about the city, both for visitors and for local people. People that have moved here recently maybe don't understand all the history of the region, why it looks the way it does. It's a great opportunity.
And you're talking about newcomers. Well, I've been here for almost 19 years. First time I've taken this tour. I'm looking forward to seeing the next stop on the historical walking tour. But before we go there, we're going to send you off to Showtimes with Jose Araujo. And I stopped by the Maritime Discovery Centre and learned a little bit about the meaning of his show. Well, hello again. You're still watching Go Island. We are still on our historical walking tour. We're at another stop on the Southport walking tour. Right here at the train station, happens to be on the cover of the little pamphlet that you can pick up at the museum or right here at the train station. And because I have guides, you wouldn't always have guides, but I'm lucky enough to have them. Shelley Harding is going to tell us a little bit about this stop. Shelley, people think they know everything about this building. They probably don't.
Well, I don't know. It's one of our prime attractions in Port Alberni. Everybody knows the train station, but it was built in 1911, so it's 103 years old this year, and it was the site of the first train pulled into here in December 20th, 1911, and passenger service would continue here right through to the 1950s, about 1954, and then it shut down. Over the years, it had been reconfigured, and in 1990, the Industrial Heritage Society and members of the community restored the outside building, including putting the upper floor back on, which had been removed at one time.
And this is one of the buildings that is so well loved in Port Alberni. It's kind of an iconic shape, isn't it? At one point, every community in Canada that was serviced by trains had a building this color, more or less this shape, with these architectural details.
Exactly, all the way, all over the island, right through across the country. You're right. Everybody had a train station, and train travel was just so important in those days.
And we're so lucky that we have this restored. It is such a treasure to the community that the folks from the Industrial Heritage Society, I think they restored it. Wasn't it done like in one day? It was amazing.
It was over a weekend. Just over a weekend. They called it the station raising, putting the upper floor back on. And then this is the headquarters for the Industrial Heritage Society now. And of course, this is where you can get the train out to the McLean Mill during the summer and on special events throughout the year.
Wonderful that it's still being used for a train. Shelley, we're going to take another little jaunt on the walking tour. We'll talk about the next building in just a minute. But first, Jenny Fortin is going to get the lowdown on giving the perfect tea party. again, we are still on our walking tour of historic Southport, and I've been getting a guided tour with Jamie Morton and Shelley Harding from the museum, but usually you wouldn't be getting a guiding tour. You would pick up this little tour guide at the museum. Let me get my handy dandy guide here. Historical walking tour. There's one for Southport, there's one for Northport. You can pick them up at the Alberni Valley Museum or right here at the train station, where the museum currently has another exhibit on a tsunami. So we're on the next stop, which is right behind us here, the Carmore Block. Now this is such a beautiful building, again a restored building that has quite a history, doesn't it, Shelley?
Well, it does, and it's, again, another one of the buildings we're so fortunate to still have standing in our community. It was one of the first professional buildings built in Port Alberni in 1912 by the Carmichael and Moore company. And it had stores on the bottom. There were 7 stores on the first floor and 19 offices upstairs that housed lawyers, the Alberni Railway Company, Alberni Land Company, and the railway company, as well as doctors and dentists and things like that. It was very modern for the time. It was heated by steam, it was lit with electricity, and it had indoor plumbing of toilets and baths.
Unbelievable. And again, it is such an iconic piece of architecture done with the red bricks. Beautiful piece, and with such a history. I think there's apartments upstairs now, aren't there?
There are, and it's been beautifully restored by the current owners. We're just so proud of what they've done here. They've kept it commercial in the basement, in the first floor, and there are apartments upstairs, studio type apartments.
Beautiful piece of our history. Shelley, thank you so much for telling me about it. It's funny because we walk by these buildings every day and we never really think about what they were used for, what they were built for, and the place they hold in the history of this community. Now, I'm off to the next stop, the Rollin Art Centre, which is one of my favorite historic buildings in the city. And just coincidentally enough, Jenny Fortin's going to bring us a story about what's upstairs right now at Rollin. Well, welcome back. We are almost at the end of our show, and as I promised, we've walked on up to the Rollin Art Centre to take in the last little bit of my walking tour. Now, the whole Southport walking tour has about 26 stops, each of them with a little write-up about the building, about when it was built, the historical significance. Rollin Art Centre, for instance, was built in 1914 by Fred and Alan Rollins and became the home of the Community Arts Council in 1977. I'm going to say goodbye now. I'm going to maybe take in a few more stops. There's also a Southport walking tour, starts at Victoria Quay. These pamphlets you can pick up at the Alberni Valley Museum or at the train station. And you know what, I guess I have to make an admission. I'm not actually walking the tour, I'm driving it. And that's something you can do too, especially in these hot days. Until we meet again, be good to each other.
Aaron Vissia Financial Go Island is brought to you by Aaron Vissia Financial, supporting community and providing personalized advice and service to clients since 1996. Our team is ready to help you with your financial future.